It's Brat Autumn, y'all. So about a month ago, I was going through my email as I always do, and I saw an email with the subject line of a doll commission for a Philadelphia concert. And now because I'm a content creator who has a public email that literally anybody can email me to, I almost just kind of chalked it up as another one of those fake emails. But something in my spirit just kind of told me, do a little bit of research on this one. So after I did a quick little search on LinkedIn, I found out the person was indeed legit, so of course I was intrigued. The person said they wanted to commission 2 celebrity Bratz dolls for an upcoming concert at the Wells Fargo Center. Those 2 celebrities ended up being Charli XCX and Troye Sivan. With the huge impact that this whole Bratz summer movement has had over the entire year, I definitely knew that this would be an iconic collaboration and that I had to take it. And naturally, because I'm a content creator first, I had to film the entire process for you guys. So now that you guys know a little bit of context, let's go ahead and get into making these dolls. So I got this Bratz Series 3 Tiana doll on clearance for, I don't know, maybe like $10. I knew she would be the perfect skin tone for Charli XCX as she is a little bit more on the pale side. Of course, Tiana already has black hair, but those red streaks definitely weren't going to do. So we will be going in and doing a little bit of a reroot on her. Now, luckily I did have some leftover saran hair. So of course I just go through and cut off all her original nylon hair until she only has a couple of stubs left. Then I'll go in with my blow dryer and of course get the head as heated up as possible so I can go in with a flathead screwdriver and scrape out all those excess plugs. It's so funny because I saw somebody say that the most satisfying part of doing a Bratz reroot is pulling out those like little stubs out of the head, and that is like so true, except for when you have like a big clunk of hair that just won't come out through the neck hole, and that definitely happened with this reroot. And once the head has been scraped clean, I'll just go in with some 100% pure acetone to wipe off the original factory paint. I did decide to go ahead and skip the rerooting process on this one just because I feel like I've shown it quite a few times on my channel, but all I did was of course stab the head like 100 million times. It took me hours and hours and hours to do. I honestly hate rerooting dolls, but the result is like so satisfying. But once all the hair has been plugged into the head, of course I do have to secure it in some way, so I just use some Beacon Fabri-Tac to secure all the plugs on the inside of the head. And a super important step is to go in with a Q-tip and make sure that the glue has spread across all of the plugs. If you happen to not spread the glue enough, sometimes you will have some plugs that will come out during the styling process, and we definitely don't want that. Now moving on to prepping the Troye doll. I got this, I don't even know the name of this Bratz boy, but I believe he's from some type of like winter line. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but of course I just prep him by taking off all of his original clothes. They were pretty dingy and pretty stained anyways, so they'll probably go in the trash. And then just like on the Charli doll, I'll go in with my little mini scissors and cut off all the original hair. Of course he has brown saran hair, and that just won't do for a Troye Sivan custom. Obviously he has blonde hair, so we will be giving this Bratz boy a reroot as well. And again, once the head has been properly heated up, I will remove it from the body and use my flathead screwdriver to scrape out all of the leftover hair. And then once the Troye doll was all rerooted, he had a little bit of a Bobbiana. I wanted to keep the hair a little bit longer just to kind of aid myself in the styling process. I don't know if you know, but it's super hard to style already really short hair. And I knew I wanted to give him like some curls and a little bit of texture later. But as you can see on Troye, I actually mixed 3 different colors. So it was like a lighter blonde and a kind of slightly darker blonde on the top of his head. And then on the under kind of cut of his head, I used a darker brown color. So about 24 to 48 hours later, once the glue inside Charli's head was dry, I did go in and thatch her part. I know some people don't particularly like doing thatching, but it's so like therapeutic and it's so like satisfying to me. I feel like I said that like 3 times already in this video. Of course, it does take a little bit more time to do it that way, but I just love how clean it looks in the end. But let me know if you want a little bit more of an in-depth look on how you thatch dolls' part lines. I feel like I've low-key mastered it now. And of course, Charli XCX is known for her big, curly, like voluminous hair. So we definitely had to recreate that on the doll. So I just went in with some medium sections and some pipe cleaners. So I kind of just twisted my wrist as I wrapped the hair around the pipe cleaner. And that just kind of gives it a curly / wavy look versus if you were to just kind of wrap the hair around the pipe cleaner flat, they would come out as more tubular, if that makes sense. But once all the hair was wrapped around the pipe cleaners, of course we have to set those curls in the hair with some heat and some ice water, because of course Saran won't hold a curl if you don't heat set it. So again, I just kind of threw her in a bowl, poured some hot water into that bowl, let her soak for about a minute, and then after that I kind of shocked the hair with some cold water to go ahead and set those curls into the hair. So back to the Troye custom. Usually he has some dark brown roots. Yes, his hair is blonde, but he also has dark roots. And I wanted to try to recreate that on the doll. Now I did go in doing this with a fabric marker, and I don't really recommend doing that on your doll because the fabric marker did end up staining Troye's forehead. But there are different ways that people say that you can dye Saran, like acrylic paint. I haven't tried it myself, but I would say probably don't try the fabric marker unless you're super duper careful, because again, the fabric marker did end up bleeding onto the vinyl and his forehead was stained. Now, like I said, I wanted to give Troye a little bit of texture. His hair is super duper curly. Now, for this commission, the client wanted to reference kind of like his Rush video era, and his hair wasn't as curly as it is now. But I do kind of wish that I had went in with some smaller straws to do these curls, because in the end, it didn't end up being as curly and as tight as I wanted to. The curls kind of fell a lot. But this is what we were working with. It did end up giving his hair a little bit of texture, but not enough in my opinion. And I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I kind of wish I had done this differently. Once his hair was all in the curlers, I just did the exact same thing that I did for Charli's hair. I went in with a boil wash and then an ice bath right after to shock the hair and keep those curls nice and bouncy. You've been paying rent here in my head. Tried to fight it off, tried to hold my breath.
I keep holding back, trying not to.
So to shorten Troy's hair, because of course we can't keep it that long, I did go in with a razor, which was actually a brand new method for cutting hair for me. And I honestly really enjoyed it. Like, it does give the hair a nice kind of feathery look. Of course, I just went in section by section, cutting off little by little until I got to my desired result.
I'm way past the point of no return. I'm running traffic lights to spend a little time looking into your eyes. Swear I've been aching.
So moving on to Charli's face up, this was one of my favorite parts of the process. So kind of looking at Charli's makeup during this era, she wears a lot of like browns or black smoky eyes with a lot of like heavy liner like on the outside and on the underneath of her eye. From the reference photos that I was using, it does seem that she wears very little like foundation. So I definitely wanted to make sure to include all of the moles on her face. I feel like that's a very like quintessential part of her look. And of course we had to go in with the very thick like black feathery brows. That's definitely part of her look. I honestly didn't realize that she had a unibrow until somebody in my TikTok comments mentioned it, but I still feel like the eyebrows that I did on her were pretty accurate. Then of course I wanted to give the eye look a little bit of dimension, so I didn't just want her to have a plain brown smoky eye. I wanted to give her a little bit of light on the lids, and yeah, it just kind of gives the face up a little bit more interest. Of course, this wouldn't be a Charli XCX doll without her signature brown eyes. I think that they are so pretty, and I love how warm they kind of look in contrast to her like jet black hair.
As a satellite, all that I know inside. Think I like life a little better with you on my mind.
And of course, I gave her black eyeliner. It's usually super heavy on the waterline. And sorry, I never film doing the lashes because I feel like that's the hardest part. And it takes so much precision and detail that I just always cut that part out. I never film it. And then last but not least on Charli's face up, of course, we have to do some light pink lips. In this particular era, she never really wears anything that is like super pigmented. It always kind of looks like her lips, but better. So I definitely tried to mimic that on this doll. Of course, she does have the open mouth mold, but these days I kind of like to do like the darker inner lip instead of painting in the teeth. Hopefully that makes sense. So moving on to Troy's face up. So his face up was actually pretty simple. He just has some pretty medium brown eyebrows. I don't know that I really did the shape of his eyebrows justice, but I do like the way they ended up turning out. I always like to kind of go in with some soft pastel to kind of map out where the brows are gonna go. I feel like a big part of Troy's look is definitely his big blue eyes. Like, he has very wide set eyes. I kind of wish I had made them a little bit bluer and a little bit wider on the doll, because the girls on Twitter were saying that he looked like Lisa Rinna, and yeah, that's kind of like my worst nightmare. Another part of the face up that I definitely think is super satisfying is adding the little white reflex in the eyes. I feel like that is like the final touch that kind of just brings the face up to life. And I think Troy's face up looked pretty good at this point, but this is kind of where I went a little bit overboard. Although Troye does have pretty defined lashes, I think in doll form I probably added too many lashes, but I do wish I had have toned it down a little bit for like around the eyes and on the eyelids. I did my best to add as much definition as possible without making it look like a super duper like makeup look, but yeah, this is how it turned out. And then of course I did paint in his lip color. I did end up changing it a little bit after this clip because I felt like it was slightly too pink, so I made it a little bit more nude, and that will complete Troye's face up.
So different. Pray I'm never coming down.
So sorry I didn't film the clothing part of this process. And the reason I didn't is because my Instagram friend August Doll was actually supposed to be a part of this collab as well. He made some beautiful clothing for these dolls, and just because USPS is like the worst shipping carrier in America, the clothing didn't end up making it on time. So for literally like 2 or 3 days, I was like on the verge of tears, about to have a mental breakdown because I thought all of the hard work that I did on these dolls was like going to go to shit, basically, because I was scared that the dolls weren't going to arrive to the venue on time. But all did end up being well. I ended up having to pay a ton of money to get the dolls overnighted to the venue, and we got 2 pictures of Troye and Charli holding the dolls. They posted it over on the Sweat Tour Instagram for the Philadelphia stop, and when I saw it, I freaked out because of course this is my first time ever having like my work in the hands of actual celebrities. I don't know what they did with the dolls after they took the pictures of them. You know, they could be in the trash somewhere for all I know. But I was just so grateful to have been able to work on these dolls. I feel like we kind of created this whole moment. Like there was a couple of like viral tweets on X about the dolls, and Troye actually posted like one of the tweets on his story. It was like a really good moment for me, and I hope what people get from this moment is that like you don't have to be the best at your craft. Like there are so many Bratz repainters that are better than me, but I feel like the message that I want people to get from this is that all you have to do is practice at your craft, keep putting yourself out there, and good things will come to you. Even if you're not the best right now, just keep going and keep practicing, and yeah, you'll get to where you want to be. But that is all from me, friends. Thank you so much for watching this video. I apologize that it has been 2 months since I posted my last video. That was not the plan at all. But I just got so backed up on doing these commissions and then other commissions that I accepted afterwards that I kind of got backed up on content. But I am kind of slowing down on the commissions, and I really want to focus on being a content creator, which is what I've always wanted to do first. So thank you so much for bearing with me. I love you guys so much. They will all be linked in the description box down below. I will see you guys in the next video. It's probably going to be one more Bratz video, like one more, because there's one more celebrity Bratz custom that I want to do, that I have to do, and I have to strike while the iron is hot. This celebrity embodies like the Bratz aesthetic, so I'm excited for this. It may not be the next video, but it will definitely be coming soon. So that is all from me, friends. Again, I love you guys so much. Peace.